Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today has been involved in $21 million worth of real estate transactions and has been investing since 2009. She formed her current company in 2016 and manages 40 single-family homes and 230 multifamily units. Krista Testani is principal of Sharpline Equity. Krista, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Seth. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So to kick things off, tell us about your real estate goals right now.
So presently, we really, interestingly enough that you asked this question, because since it's the beginning of the year, my partner, Chris Jackson, and myself kind of refocused, because your goals can change over time. Yeah. And so we really drill down on what we want to accomplish this year. And it is twofold. It's a macro and a micro goal, because I kind of feel like real estate, what we do, real estate investing is a business within a business. You have the business of acquiring the properties, and then you have the macro business, which for us is Sharpline Equity. So the micro goal is 2 deals a year, to acquire 2 deals a year. Our parameters are have them be 100 units or up, because we've been living in that 40, 50 unit space for a while now. We just closed a deal in December, 174 units, so we don't want to go backwards at this point. We're moving on, moving forward. So that's the micro goal, and the macro goal is really focusing on branding Sharpline Equity. It's really something you should do in parallel. You should be building your micro business and your macro business at the same time. We haven't focused on that macro business from the outset the way we should have. So 2019 is really the year to be branding Sharpline Equity.
Yeah. And you had mentioned you were in that 40 to 50 unit space for a while. What caused you to start thinking about bigger purchases?
It's the economies of scale, obviously. What we figured out, and we've been told this, it's interesting because I took a lot of educational courses. I did a mentorship program. I met my partner in the mentorship program. And this has been said to us before, but sometimes it doesn't land on you until you experience it for yourself. You do the same amount of work for a 20 unit deal that you do for a 200 unit deal. So why not go after the 200 unit deal? There's more meat on the bone. Certainly there may be more partners involved, because when you're going after a 200 unit deal, there's more requirements with respect to your personal, financial statement, your liquidity. So yes, you may be bringing in people into that deal and partnering up, but there's more meat on the bone. There's more pieces of the pie that could be shared. So it's really about the economies of scale, why we don't really want to go below 100 units. And we've also figured out getting sophisticated management. All of our properties, they're not in our backyard. We're doing third-party management with all of them. And getting the more sophisticated management is easier when you're in that 100 unit and up space, for sure.
Yeah. Well, with 100 units plus, you have on-site staff all the time. The infrastructure is there. It just makes things a whole lot easier.
Whole lot easier. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what changes have you had to make then in how you run your business to move from that 40, 50 space to allow you to take down a 100 unit plus deal?
I don't know if it's any changes. You're doing the same thing. You're networking. You're on the phone with brokers. You're speaking to management companies. It's just about doing more of it. Mm-hmm. It's about being disciplined. Like, we do have a system in place now. And curiously enough, right after we put this system in place, 4 months later, we got our last deal in December. And that's, we call it our pipeline check-in. So my partner and I, and we also have a JV partner, Sonia Rockville. She has her own company, Berry Rockville Enterprises. Let me plug her. We do a check-in once a week, and that is 20-minute call, and we go through our pipeline. So we share Google spreadsheets with the brokers and the deals that we're working on and who we need to follow up and why. And everyone's assigned certain tasks on those sheets, and it's about checking in on that Wednesday morning and reporting back. And once we did that, because you don't want to have to check in on Wednesday morning and say, I didn't do anything I was supposed to do from last week. So it's about holding each other accountable. And it's that constant, it's consistency of action.
Mm-hmm.
That is what moves you and propels you forward. And so it's really not doing anything different. It's just being consistent and doing it all the time.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really, really powerful message. And besides those Wednesday check-ins, do you have any other routines or rituals that you do that helps keep you focused?
You know, on a personal level, for me, I try to start out my day. Sometimes I don't do it, and usually those are not my best days. I try to start out my day in prayer. Some people motivate. I pray. I read scripture. It's about getting perspective. I mean, your business obviously is an important aspect of your life, but it's not the only aspect. Prayer for me centers me. It gives me perspective, which is really important because when things go sideways in your life and in your business, and they will go sideways, I have a little story about that later on, you need perspective. You need perspective to manage and navigate those situations and get through them. So prayer does that for me every morning.
Yeah.
Almost every.
Yeah. And you're entering the day in that clear mindset, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, like I said, the days that sometimes I roll out of bed and I rush out and I don't do that morning prayer session for myself. It's a different type of day for me. I am not as focused. I'm not as sharp. And again, my perspective can be off. So yeah, it's interesting. You really notice it. You notice it when you're not doing it. Then you notice the difference in yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And you had been doing practicing law before this,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So what was the light bulb moment where you said, "Hey, I should get into doing these real estate deals instead of the law side"?
I didn't. There was a number of moments. There was one light bulb scenario, but there were a number of moments. First of all, I graduated law school. I get into practicing, and I switched specialties a number of times. And the big joke that one of my friends had, who's been a DA since the day she graduated college, she would check in with me every couple of months, and the question would be, where are you working now, Krista? Because I constantly switched specialties, and that was a signal to me that I was not finding anything that really was very satisfying. And in law, you're working a tremendous amount of hours, and you better really love what you're doing because you're going to be giving up a lot of time with family and working a lot. So that was one light bulb moment. I was really struggling to find my place in that industry. And then I had my husband whispering in my ear. He's a retired New York City firefighter, but they all have construction and engineering, and they all do these other things. He liked real estate, and he was whispering in my ear that he'd like to try something out. And the third thing that happened, which was my wake-up call, was I was working very close. I was very close to my boss. I had been working with him for 10 years. He was a very young man, and he had a heart attack and died at 42, I want to say. And that was just one of those moments where, I was spending a lot of time away from my family. I had young children at the time, wasn't loving what I was doing. And I said to myself, why am I doing this? I mean, no one's guaranteed tomorrow. So I took a step back. That was the moment. I was 2007. I left my job in 2007 and I started up real estate in 2009. So for a couple of years, I floundered a little bit trying to figure things out. But that was the progression that led me to go into real estate.
Yeah. And once you got into real estate, did you have a specific niche in mind? Like, I want to do single families or I want to do small multifamily. Did you know what you wanted to do?
No, not at all. I mean, I really stepped into it. We started with no idea, right? So we just started out with what we thought we could do locally. We were stepping into the business in 2009 on Long Island, which is where I'm from, in case you can't tell from the accent, extremely thick accent. We started out, there was a huge pipeline of distressed properties in foreclosure. That was what was going on. And so there was a huge inventory to buy and flip. And that's what we did for a couple of years and was successful. But as I started doing that, then I started getting more focused and realizing I wanted to scale the business, and I didn't feel like flipping was going to get me there. I started scouring the internet. I found a mentorship program with a company out, close local to me on Long Island. And I did a year-long mentorship program in multifamily. I knew that I needed to take the next step, and I found this program, and it led me into multifamily.
Yeah. And as you were getting into multifamily, did you ever have any ideas or strategies that you thought would work but ended up not working?
You know, well, you know what ended up happening? The only thing that has not worked, and interestingly enough, it was when for a short season, we went back into single families. So not to say that single family, owning a single family portfolio is bad. I'm sure it works for people. But what we ended up doing in 2016, it was getting really hard finding deals in multifamily. Oh, surprise, surprise, right? I mean, it's always hard finding deals. And we thought, why don't we try to engage? I had some multifamily single family experience, but in flipping. But we said, let's get into single families, buy and hold, and build a single family portfolio. So we have 40 single families in Syracuse. And we said, let's try to operate. We're gonna do single family, but with a multifamily perspective. We're gonna run this like a multifamily portfolio, only they're single family homes. So that is the only thing that we engaged in that I would say that didn't pan out the way we wanted it to, for all the reasons that I never did buy and holds with singles in the first place. I'm dealing with 40 roofs. I'm dealing with 40 sets of taxes and 40 insurance policies. And, the admin piece of running a single family portfolio like multifamily, it's not worth the time or effort. So we figured that out, which I think we've been told that in probably our educational, experiences. But again, sometimes you got to go through it and say, oh yeah, my teachers, my mentors, they told me this, So we still have that portfolio. It's running, it's doing its thing, but we decided not worth the time and effort, and we have refocused everything back into multifamily.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's a really good lesson learned from everybody listening right now.
Who will learn the lesson by listening to me and or have to do it themselves, and then
That's
just
right.
oh yeah, I remember when she said that.
Yeah, we'll have you back on in a year to say I told you so to the people
Yeah.
who aren't listening. So out of all the deals that you've done, is there one deal that stands out as a keystone deal?
Yeah, there's one that does, and it's the Northern Pines was a 48 unit. It was my second deal. So that was back in 2014, Atlanta. And the reason that's a standout deal for me is that it jump-started me in multifamily with my reputation, with the investors, because it was one of those deals. I won't say that it went super smooth because we had the day before I signed the contract to sell it, we had a massive fire with people jumping out second-story windows. I mean, it was scary. Thank Jesus nobody got hurt, significantly hurt, seriously hurt even. But so it wasn't a smooth ride because we had to navigate through that right before we were about to sell. But it was a phenomenal building just because it did so well. It was a C asset. It was not a heavy lift. We had a small rehab budget to do some very strategic cosmetic changes. We planned to do a 7-year hold. I bought in the Atlanta market right before it exploded. That was just, we were doing our research. Obviously, we knew that there was something going on in Atlanta, but we got in literally 6 months before that market exploded. So I wasn't prepared to sell it. Someone came knocking on our door. We want it. They offered us a price we couldn't resist. So we sold it in 22 months, gave back, I think it was 103% to our investors. And it showed them, number one, that was very early on in my career where my investors were family, friends, people handing over their cash, going, okay, here, Krista, take it. And then they were saying prayers. It was a leap of faith. They were doing it because they know me, like me, trusted me, right? That was a great deal because it got them involved in real estate investing for this first time, where they could see that you could achieve phenomenal results. Not like that would be the norm to get 103% back every 22 months, but you could achieve it. They saw that I could handle it. They saw I handled a very difficult situation with the fire. We navigated through it. We got through it fine. So I always go back to Northern Pines as just that deal that kind of really propelled me to go forward and say, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I like this. I know what I'm doing. I know how to relate to investors, how to protect their money. They like me. I like working with them. And it edified the fact that I think I finally found what I wanted to do. I wasn't jumping around and trying to, test out a new specialty like I was doing when I was practicing law.
Yeah. And somebody out there is probably watching and asking, how does it work if there's a big fire? How does the lender react to that? And what challenges did you have because of that situation?
So this is going to be really kind of embarrassing to admit. I did not have this is going to be embarrassing to admit, but I'm going to do it because I'm a transparent person and people should learn from my mistakes. We did not have a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. It was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, by the way, would refuse to lend in Atlanta at the time that I purchased. Just a little tidbit about how far Atlanta has come. Could not get Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac to look at my deal, which was a stabilized deal. So we had a local regional bank that their reporting requirements were just very relaxed, whereas Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're on you, we want this every single quarter. They're emailing you. We reported to this bank, but they were just very relaxed. You could forget to report and, they wouldn't hound you. We were so focused on what we needed to do when this fire took place, we forgot to call them. So it was truly, truly just we weren't thinking about them. We were thinking about what was at hand right now, which was taking care of our tenants. I was on a plane the next day flying down there. Tenants were, we had to relocate our tenants. There was a lot going on. So that was truly just a misstep by us not to pick up the phone and call the bank. However, what I can talk about that was truly a learning experience was dealing with the insurance company. And my Reader's Digest version is there's two ways to go when you're dealing with an insurance company with this type of loss. And there's a real decision to be made. And people were pulling at us, me and my partner at the time, to go one way as opposed to another. You can go the way, the path of least resistance is have the insurance company come in and work with vendors that the insurance company has already approved, and they go through the loss and they figure out how much it's going to take to repair the damage. And it's a very symbiotic relationship because the insurance company is working with vendors that they know. The vendors know the insurance company. They're working with you. You get your if you have replacement costs, please, I hope everyone has replacement costs in their policy. You get what you want and you get your finishes and you get your everything done. And you can go that way, or you can go a different way, which many people were tugging at my ear and saying, get the independent adjuster to go in and do their evaluation of the loss. And then the independent adjuster, and I am not trying to slam what the independent adjuster does. I'm just saying know what you're going into if you take that path. The independent adjuster then negotiates with the insurance company and gets you a dollar amount that you could do with what you want. You can hire your own contractors. They don't have to be approved. And you're kind of on your own now to do the rehab. And the reason many people go with that choice is because they feel the independent adjuster will get them more money, and then they have the option of doing the work. With a bank, you're going to have to do the work. But I guess if you don't have a lender, there's the option maybe not to do the work and just sell it as is, or do the work, but you hire your vendors for less. And so now there's money that you could pocket, blah, blah, blah. You getting my point? Yeah. I didn't go that route. And the route I chose, I wasn't looking to make money from this deal. I was looking to not only restore my property to where it was, but in fact, there's going to be brand new finishes in all of the units that were charged. So I got a better property than prior to the fire. And I preferred to go the route of least resistance because there was cooperation between everybody, and you never got into a position where you weren't covered. They paid for it. I dealt with no money. The vendor billed the insurance company, and that's how it worked. I had no money out of pocket and no worries. I have heard stories of people going the other path where they negotiated, they got what they thought was a great deal from the insurance company, and now suddenly when they go to rehab, things change. Oh, there's asbestos under those tiles and the price of something is going up, and now suddenly their insurance proceeds aren't covering the entire cost of the rehab. So not to say, I know many people that have gone that path. I'm just saying those are the two choices you can make. I was very happy with the choice that we made, which was cooperating with the insurance company.
Yeah, I'm really glad you shared that, because knock on wood, hopefully most people don't have to deal with that. But when you do, you really have no idea what the options are, and you don't really think about it until the time comes.
Until the time comes. I will say I worked with one of the things that you can leverage is your management companies. If you're dealing with a management company who's been in the business long enough, he has navigated through fires in his career. So he did have a lot of advice and feedback to give me. So our management company was very helpful during the process. And of course, they actually managed this. It was his building that he was managing, and they did a superb job.
No, that's great. And so, Krista, of all the deals you've done, like you're building up your business now, you're into the bigger multifamily deals. How has getting into real estate changed your life?
It was about the flexibility. Again, as you know, because I came from this very structured, go into the law office, work 12, 14 hours a day, working weekends. This, for me, I was able to bring the business home and start up a home office. I was able to work work the hours that I chose to work at night when the kids were in bed. It was all about a lifestyle choice, flexibility, being able to, again, put things in perspective. Running my business and earning money and helping to put food on the table is obviously a priority for everyone, but it's not everything in life. And when I was practicing, I felt like it was just about the job and I couldn't fit anything else in. Now I was going to build a business at the pace that I wanted, because the pace is going to be based on how much work you put into it. That's kind of correlates equally to the pace, and have a life and still be able to devote, be the class mom for my kids while they were in elementary school. Now now they don't care to have me around anymore. One's in college, one's in high school. I need not show up at school anymore. But when they were little and I made this move, that was important. So it's about getting that financial, real estate is a path to financial freedom, but in a way that provides a lot of choices and flexibility.
Yeah. And would you say you've hit that financial freedom mark, or are you still on your way there?
I got kids going into college. One's in and one's about to go in. So no, I have not hit that financial freedom. But the idea and the reason that we set that goal of 1 to 2 properties a year is because 2009 we were focusing at this, because up until now it's been we own a couple and then we sold a couple, and at the same time we were selling, we were buying. So we've never built up the portfolio of multifamily. We're now focused on that scaling, so that is how we feel we can really reach that financial freedom. Is not rotating buildings in and out where you've never built up the portfolio. So 2019, we're focusing now on building up that portfolio to get to that point where I can write those checks for college tuition without crying.
Yeah. No, that's really exciting. And I'd love to have you back on in another year to let us know how you've made out.
Would love to do that. Thank you so much, Seth. This is so much fun, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. So if somebody's looking to get in touch with you, learn about what you're doing, where can they find you? 2
different places. Number 1, you can reach me at Sharpline. Our site is sharplineequity.com, www.sharplineequity.com. You can email me at Krista, Krista, at sharplineequity.com. And we've just unveiled a free group. It'll be a private group, but you can join it. It's called Multifamily Unveiled. So if you Google multifamily apartment investing unveiled, you will end up seeing that site, which you can join that, and you'll be led into a Facebook community. And we just started that up as a way to just share, like that insurance story. It's about sharing our experiences and helping people who are just starting with real estate or just constantly looking to learn more, can engage with us and we can share our experiences.
No, that sounds great. So Chris, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time today to share those stories.
Oh, thank you so much, Seth. I had fun. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.